Alright, hi everybody. Welcome to my Mus158A final project. Uh, I did an FM synthesizer, so I'm just going to jump right in. It is the FM synthesis engine with control automation and accompaniment with Microsoft GS Synth. So, FM synthesis, something we learned about this semester. It's a way to synthesize sound, and I've recreated a sort of a model of the DX7, which is a synthesizer we learned about. It was manufactured in the 80s, and we learned it had different, presets that sort of chose how the oscillators would send to each other. And as you can see, I have the picture right here. It has 32 presets. So over here, I actually have a big o.express.code box. That's what it's called, right? Yeah. With all the matrix information for doing the program presets. So we have the matrix right here. Kind of make it a little bigger. The matrix tells everything where to go. So right now I have a blank matrix, which means there's nothing going out at all. However, if I send the one to the main, so the columns are which one you're sending. The rows are to where. So one to main. We have basic setup right there. However, if we change it to one ascending domain and to itself, we'll get FM synthesis because it's going to modulate its frequency based on feeding back to itself. So let's just hear what that sounds like. So interesting change in tone. So I'll just pull into the oscillator itself, operator, whatever you want to call it. You can actually change the waveform with your mouse, so it feeds into like a buffer, and then the phaser kind of like determines how long the buffer, like the pitch of the drawn thing. So when you get the input from the MIDI input over here, the K slider, or you could just use, I have a MIDI keyboard right here, it's pressing notes, you can get the input, and then it has the frequency for that. So here we have the different parameters for FM synthesis. I can make it very noisy, or I can make it more subtle. So we have the modulation index and like the ratio between the carrier and the modulator. So this is the ratio. This one's the modulation index. I'm trying to not pause too much because I don't want to edit this, but maybe I'll just have to edit it a little bit. So let's just try a more complicated sound. Why don't we? Alright, I'm just gonna solo this over here. So slightly more complicated. Maybe I'll just add some stuff. Right now it has portamento on. So portamento makes it slide from one pitch to the next. I made it using an o.schedule, which kind of tells if it's going to be a new pitch. I don't know if I did it the best way, but I can basically have a very short portamento time to make it not glide at all, even though it does have a portamento time technically. If I change it really high, it takes a long time to shift. You can make it as high as you want, I guess. And over here we have a phase object, sort of for controlling amplitude. However, each oscillator actually has a attack and decay, sustained release thing, which makes it have its own envelope. Scroll down a little bit. It's the part 2 of the project. We have a very weird project component. It's kind of a, what is this thing called? A picture slider. But we can change its momentum, like it moves on its own if you drag it with the mouse. So okay, that didn't work. Let me try. See, you can see it's self-propagating. It's actually made using the Cinmat mouse I/O thing. So how it works is it kind of like has streams that get the mouse movement while the mouse is clicked down. So it has a stream that like gets basically a vector, so it knows where to go in terms of momentum. So right now it only works for the x direction, but you can see it does move by itself, and you can see the information here. There's the x vector has a certain amount, the y vector has a certain amount, and there's angle and everything. So it's kind of used for automating control a bit. It's very gimmicky, but at the same time I did spend a large amount of time on this component, so I wasn't about to just throw it away for nothing, and it does sort of work. We'll see what it's used for later, or we might as well just see right now. So we have a very basic sequence object with MIDI flush, MIDI out. So if I read a MIDI file into it, it will actually play it via Microsoft's GS Synth. Let's just hear a little bit. Why don't we? So yeah. Oh, okay. It's gonna do the thing where it doesn't have a note off information, so I guess I kind of have to. 1 second, guys. Alright, sorry about that, everybody. We're back. It's a very rude interruption. So I'm just going to show the last part of it, and then we'll be done. So the synthesizer on the right is very similar to the one on the left. However, it plays harmony with the one on the left. So you can set it to whatever note, whatever interval above it you want. Right now it's set to a perfect third. So if I just, get two notes going at once, press the MIDI keyboard, we hear a perfect third. Nice. That's basically as far as it goes for that. So I think it would be nice if I just end it with, playing a little accompaniment to the MIDI input,